influential individuals. Karl Marx, Sigmund Freud, Albert Einstein. They're all Jews. So why are Jews so creative? And the answer is the Bible. Okay? So let me provide some background as to how Israel, the nation of Israel, was first formed. So remember, the Bronze Age, the Middle East was the center of the world. Okay, so you had Egypt, then you had the Levant, up north is Anatolia, across the Aegean is Mycenaean Greece, and this is Mesopotamia. If you look at this map, the center of the world really is the Levant. And at this time in history, the Levant is really a colony of Egypt. Okay, this place is called Canaan. Now, the thing about the Egyptians is they didn't like to go outside of Egypt. So in order to control this colony, the Levant, which is strategically very important, they use Greek mercenaries, okay? Mercenaries from abroad. Many were Greek, but there are some other countries as well. Also, at this time in history, there's a lot of religious strife in Egypt. And a lot of the priests who lost out in this struggle, they were exiled to the Levant, okay? So you also had some Egyptian priests in the Levant. You also had the hill people of Canaan, okay? Hill people. They lived in the hills, they farmed. You also had nomadic pastoralists, nomads, because this place was a center of trade. So you had bandits, you had people who traded, and you also had people who raised livestock. So another way of saying this is the Levant, it is a multicultural melting pot. Lots of different groups of people. And at this time in history, there's no concept of nation or race or ethnicity. It was very common for people to just intermix together. Okay? But then what happened, of course, was the Bronze Age collapse. And what that meant was that now you have this surge of refugees coming through from North Europe and from Western Europe and overwhelm the former empires. Okay? So Mycenaean Greece is destroyed. The Hittite Empire of Anatolia is destroyed. And the sea peoples are attacking Egypt. But Egypt is pretty strong, so it's able to resist the attack. And what the Egyptians say to the sea peoples is, listen, don't attack us, we'll settle you somewhere else. We'll give you land somewhere else. And so they were put in the Levant, okay? And these people are called the Philistines, and they're in the Bible. The problem is that there's already people in the Levant, and so they are a threat. And so these people now, the mercenaries, the Egyptian priests, the hill people, the nomads, they're forced to come together as a new alliance to fend off against the Philistines. Okay? And this grouping of people will give us a new nation called Israel. And at first, they have to elect a king in order to unite them against the Philistines. And they elect a king called Saul. So Saul is the first king of Israel. He has a mercenary named David. And remember, what's very common in history is for mercenaries to rebel against their king and become a king himself. That's what David did. But now that David is now king, he has three major problems. The first problem is legitimacy. Why are you king? We elected Saul as king, but you stole the throne from him, so why are you king? So the first big problem that David faces is one of legitimacy. Second is the problem of unity. Because remember, Israel at this time, it's a diverse coalition. So how do you unite these people together? Okay, and the third problem is differentiation. Why are we different from the Egyptians, the Anatolians, the Mesopotamians, the Philistines, okay? So to solve these three problems, what David did was three major innovations that would forever change human history. The first is introduction of a patron god named Yahweh. Okay, so what David says, like, Yahweh is our God, and our God is better than the other gods. Okay? So what the Bible's trying to do is trying to explain who Yahweh is and trying to explain to everyone that Yahweh is a better God, a superior God than every other God that came before him. Okay? That's number one. Number two is the centralization of religion through a temple. So what David says is, okay, if Yahweh is our God and he's the best God, we need a house for him. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a temple in Jerusalem, and that's where he will live from now on. And by doing this, what David's really doing is centralizing the religion. When you do that, you give jobs to Egyptian priests, who will now be your main political ally. Okay? All right? And the third thing that he did, that's very important, of course, is sponsor, initiate the Bible. All right? Okay? So that's where the Bible comes from. The Bible comes from the fact that the Israelite people need to create mythology that explains why they are one family and why they're different from others and why they're actually better than other people. Okay? So